because Hollywood likes to sort of devalue black artists and black folk, because you get super talented people at a discounted rate.
The real deal is we don't own any platform the way we should. There's a few black-owned platforms, but we don't have a lot of outlets. We don't have as many. So we are not sort of governing over these entities or these corporations.
So when you were quoted as saying Hollywood doesn't know anything about black people, you still feel that?
I would use the word anything.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. You would say a little bit. You say Hollywood now knows a little bit.
I feel that until we get into the position of being gatekeepers, if we're not in the room, if we don't have a green light vote, it's not getting done. Somebody in the studio has to say, we're making it.
So every time there is, as you said, where everybody's talking about this is now a new wave of black films. Do you think it's
hogwash?
Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
Katt Williams been shouting it for years. Hollywood don't ride with the real ones. They roll out the red carpet for the puppets, the sellouts, and anybody willing to play their twisted little game. But if you stand on principles, if you got morals and a backbone that can't be bent, they'll freeze you out faster than you can blink. And that's exactly what went down with 90s legend Larenz Tate. Everybody remembers him. He had the streets buzzing in Menace II Society, had folks swooning with Love Jones, and every time his face lit up the screen, it was nothing but pure black excellence. But then, out of nowhere, silence. No scandals, no mugshots, no wild meltdowns, just gone like Hollywood hit the mute button on one of its brightest stars. Fans started scratching their heads. What happened to Larenz Tate? How did one of the most talented, smoothest, most respected black actors of his generation get erased from the spotlight like that? Katt didn't spell it out letter for letter, but the shade he threw made it clear as day. The whispers say Larenz refused to bow to the shady side of Hollywood.
You don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about does following the ritual work. Yeah. And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear.
You've heard the rumors, those creepy so-called rituals, the secret doors they expect you to walk through, the dirty favors they want in return for fame, and when you say no, when you don't play along, you become a problem, and problems in Hollywood get erased quick. Katt hinted that Larenz was just too solid, too real, too unshakable for the system to control. And because he couldn't be turned into a puppet, they tossed him aside like he never existed. That's cold, but that's Hollywood. So the bigger question is, what exactly did Larenz Tate escape? What kind of mess was lurking behind the scenes that he wasn't willing to touch, while others sold their soul without a second thought? And why would Hollywood, with all its power, blackball a man who should have been one of the biggest names in the world by now? Back in the 90s, Larenz wasn't just acting, he was commanding the screen. In Menace II Society, he came in heavy, playing a reckless OG with a cold stare and a short fuse. That performance wasn't just good, it was iconic. Then he flipped the whole vibe in Dead Presidents, showing depth most actors could only dream of. A broken soldier fighting to survive, carrying trauma in every expression. You could feel the weight in his eyes. That wasn't just talent, that was pure soul on film. And who could ever forget Love Jones? Larenz had women hypnotized playing Darius Love Hall. Smooth, poetic, deep. He wasn't just acting. He was living and breathing black love in its purest, rawest form.
Now, this young man has obviously forgotten some very fundamental things like decency and dedication and honor. Everything the Corps taught us. He is a disgrace to everyone that has ever put on that uniform, and I will not permit you or him to use the Vietnam War as a cop-out here.
He came in hard with Menace.
Little something I've been working on. It's new. I call it a blues for Nina.
Ooh.
Is that a smile me put on your face, child?
Larenz wasn't just another Hollywood face, he was our guy. Black men respected him, women adored him. He carried himself with charisma, talent, and class all in one package. And here's the wild part. He never embarrassed himself or the culture. No wild scandals, no messy headlines, no courtroom drama, just raw talent, a clean image, and nothing but realness. He didn't crash and burn. He didn't spiral or pull some reckless move. He acted and he did it brilliantly. But then silence. No public meltdown, no viral he said what drama. 1 minute he was Hollywood's next big thing. The next, it's like somebody hit the mute button on his whole career. Strange doesn't even cover it. Normally when a star disappears, it's tied to something ugly. Rehab stories, arrests, public relationship blowups. But with Larenz, none of that. No chaos, no downfall, just a slow, quiet fade into the background. He's still working here and there, sure, but nowhere near the spotlight he once commanded. This man used to carry entire films. Now, he's barely visible. So the real question, what went down? That's where Katt Williams starts sounding prophetic again. Word is, Larenz began turning down roles that didn't feel right, stereotypes, disrespectful scripts, and yeah, even those cross-dressing for laughs parts that Hollywood throws around like some hidden test.
Historically, Hollywood has always taught us we don't translate overseas or worldwide.
Right.
But when you start traveling and you go everywhere and you can't walk down the street, you then know that there's been somebody telling you something all along that's wrong. And my true belief as to why they do it is because Hollywood likes to sort of devalue black artists and black folk because you get super talented people at a discounted rate. You get a Hollywood likes to get really talented black folks and get them at a discounted rate. Only, certain superstars that can hit that level that they would feel like they would put a machine behind. But the truth of the matter is we do translate because we're humans just like everyone else.
And this
Larenz wasn't having it. He stood firm, demanding roles with power and meaning. But in Hollywood, when you tell them no too many times, that's when the machine turns on you. The calls stop, the scripts disappear, and those big open doors slam shut in your face. Let's keep it all the way real. Hollywood does not like a confident black man who ain't out here begging for their stamp of approval, especially one who's smart, polished, talented, and knows his own value. That shakes their table, and Hollywood hates being shaken. Here's the ugly truth. There's only ever space for a handful of strong black men at the top at once. It's like some hidden quota. They'll crown one, maybe two, give him the awards, the blockbuster roles, the longevity, but the rest, they get boxed into the same tired characters, the funny sidekick, the troubled friend, the background filler, always standing in the shadow, never in the spotlight. Meanwhile, the studios keep throwing millions at the same recycled narratives, drugs, gangs, broken families, prison life, like that's the only story we got. Why? Because like Spike Lee called it years ago, Hollywood stays comfortable with black pain. It's easy, it sells, and it keeps their power structure untouched. But a proud black man who respects himself and won't sell his soul just to get a check, that's a threat. That's dangerous. That's the kind of man who can inspire the next generation to think higher, who might even call out the shady stuff happening behind closed doors. And Hollywood, they can't have that. And so, yeah, they gave us one Denzel, and even he had to be flawless, 10 times more polished, 10 times more controlled, never slipping, never showing cracks. And Larenz Tate, don't let anybody fool you into thinking he disappeared because he wasn't good enough. That's straight lies. He didn't fade because of lack of talent. He was erased because he refused to play the role they scripted for him. He wasn't about to become their stereotype, wasn't about to sacrifice his image or his people just to keep his fame. And that's exactly why Hollywood saw him as a problem. And guess who's been calling this out for years? Katt Williams. He's been waving the flag, breaking down how the game really moves, and suddenly everything he said is starting to make a whole lot more sense. People used to clown Katt, calling him crazy, bitter, paranoid. They said he was just salty because Hollywood wasn't giving him his flowers. But now, folks are waking up. They're realizing he was never lying. He was warning us. And that's exactly why they tried to shut him down.
Like when I be like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not.
It's a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully.
Think about it. Katt's been dropping clues forever. One of his biggest points is how Hollywood tests you. Everybody gets stuck on that men in dresses conversation, but Katt always said, it's not even about the dress, it's about something way darker, humiliation and control. Before they let you in those elite circles, there's always a test. They push you to do something against your morals, against your pride, something that makes you feel powerless. And once you agree, they got you on a leash. From then on, they know you'll follow orders, no resistance.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't gonna wear no dress until... No. Oh, no. So they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay.
But Katt didn't stop at the surface. He dug deeper. He said this isn't just shady, it's spiritual. He started linking these so-called Hollywood rituals to something darker, stuff that stretches way past the stage lights and scripts. According to him, what looks like a harmless comedy skit or silly costume could actually be tied to something far more serious. Whispers about elites, hidden symbols, even talk about Baphomet worship. Katt was basically saying, once you cross that line, it's not about acting anymore, it's about submission. And he wasn't just talking about fame, he was talking about sacrifice, control, handing over your free will to forces you can't even see. And once you're in that deep, you don't walk away untouched. So now let's bring it back to Larenz Tate. The man had everything, talent unmatched, looks, movie star level, respect from the culture, solid. He wasn't just good, he was great. So why did Hollywood suddenly erase him? Not because he wasn't good enough, nah. It looks like Larenz got to that last door and turned around. He didn't fall off, he walked away, and he's even hinted at that in interviews. He didn't bite the bait, he didn't bow down, he refused to let them break him.
We work twice as hard to get twice as less as our counterparts, right? And that being said, we're not valued. I believe we're supposed to be valued. So those budgets are really important for us so that we can have the kind of quality that we can present to the consumer. And the smaller the budget, the more creative you have to get. And we don't have resources oftentimes as our white counterparts.
But Larenz didn't just disappear quietly. He started speaking up, saying the type of things that make Hollywood nervous. And once you do that, you officially become a threat. One of the biggest things he exposed, the pay gap. While Hollywood pats itself on the back for diversity and inclusion, Larenz kept it raw. He said what so many black actors have had to swallow in silence. Even when they bring the same energy, the same box office numbers, the same loyal fan base as their white co-stars, they still take home less money. Think about that, same grind, same talent, same results, but smaller checks. And this isn't new. It's just something most stay quiet about because they know the punishment that comes when you speak too loud. But Larenz, he said it anyway, and that's when the pattern starts showing. Once you stop being safe, once you stop just being grateful and start demanding what you're worth, they pull the strings. Suddenly the phone stops ringing, the auditions dry up, the big opportunities vanished, all because you refused to play along. And that's exactly what happened to Larenz. He didn't play the puppet, so they tried to erase him. Look at Taraji P. Henson and Monique. The second they spoke out about being underpaid and undervalued, the industry slapped them with labels. Difficult, ungrateful, hard to work with.
Street Taraji, you had the audacity to say you're thinking about stopping acting. We said, stop talking. Are you thinking about it?
I'm just tired of working so hard, being gracious at what I do, getting paid a fraction of the cost. I'm tired of hearing my sisters say the same thing over and over. You get tired. I hear people go, you work a lot. Well, have to. The math ain't mathin'.
Meanwhile, white actors can walk away from deals, demand millions, and still get praised as smart or business savvy. The double standard is loud, and Larenz Tate, he wasn't about to stay quiet either. He didn't just call out the paychecks, he went deeper. He said giving a handful of black actors lead roles and tossing them a check isn't real progress, it's performative. Because the real power in Hollywood, it ain't the actors on the screen, it's the ones behind it. Who's writing the scripts? Who's directing the narratives? Who's funding the projects and deciding which stories get greenlit? If those calls are still being made by the same small circle that's always held the keys, then all that representation talk is just smoke and mirrors. Representation without control, that's not power, it's a distraction. And Larenz called it out. He didn't just want to be a face on a movie poster, he wanted real change. And for daring to say that out loud, they tried to bury him, but Larenz never sold out. He didn't play puppet. He didn't trade his integrity for a bigger payday. He stayed solid, and that made him dangerous in an industry built on control. So what did they do? They cut him off. The roles dried up, the studios stopped dialing, the media stopped shining the spotlight. He was erased, quietly but completely. Not because he lost talent, not because he couldn't act anymore, but because he refused to be owned. From leading man to ghost, all because he wouldn't bow down. And this right here, this is why Hollywood didn't just cancel Larenz Tate. They buried him. Strategic, silent. The same play they run anytime someone's too clean to dig dirt on, but too unshakable to control. They couldn't humiliate him, couldn't twist his image. So what did they do? They erased him. That's the game. If they can't control you, they delete you. But now, the truth is leaking out. And with Katt Williams boldly putting Lorenz's name in the spotlight, that's no small thing. That means something serious is bubbling under the surface. Because when the real ones start speaking, the system gets nervous. No matter how hard Hollywood tries to keep those curtains closed, the truth keeps slipping out. Larenz Tate didn't fall off any, he broke free. He walked away from the machine before it could strip him of everything that made him real. And now, the world is finally piecing it all together. So let me throw this back to you. What do you think really happened to Larenz Tate? Was it those secret rituals Katt Williams kept hinting at? Was it the pay gap? The silent gatekeeping, the control games? Or is there something even deeper hiding in the shadows that we don't fully see yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know where you stand. And if you rocked with this breakdown, hit that like button, smash subscribe for more stories they don't want us talking about, and make sure you leave a comment with your theory. And this ain't the end, this is only the beginning. The truth is bubbling, the system is shaking, and we'll be here to break it all down. See you in the next one.